All right. Overwatch 2 mid-season 8 patch notes. Let's go see what it has in store for us tank players and everybody else. Let's get to it, man. Nice car queue video.
Mauga's finally nerfed, Sojourn has a buff, Illari has a buff, and many bug fixes.
Yeah, Sojourn and Illari buffs, don't think those were needed. We'll see what they are, but Mauga definitely needed some nerfs. And we'll see how strong those are. But where's my Winton and Rhine buffs, man? Come on.
Have been shipped in this mid-season 8 patch. My name is CarQ, and let's begin.
Let's begin, CarQ.
To tune Mauga's HP, they're converting 50 of its base armor back to white base health. Remember?
Didn't they increase this before? Was it like 150 that they changed to? So now they're just reverting that. I think that's actually really huge because armor gives them a lot more sustain than normal health and for like anti and all that stuff. So it's actually a pretty big nerf.
Remember, armor has a 30% damage reduction property, so the armor total is being decreased from 250 to 200, while the base white health is going from 250 to 300. For Mauga's passive, it's called Berserker, the over health, the green health, conversion rate is being decreased from 60% to 50%. For his Incendiary and Volatile chain guns, you know how they share an ammo pool? Well, that's being decreased from 350 to 300 bullets. His Cardiac Overdrive lifesteal is being decreased from 70% to 60%. That goes for both him and his teammates who are inside of the aura. The cooldown itself is also increased from 10 seconds to 12 seconds. And finally, for his ultimate, the Cage Fight, it no longer grants infinite ammo.
Oh, what? No infinite ammo?
It reloads Mauga's chain guns to full. So the strategy now is to empty most of your clip and then pop your ultimate to get a fresh set of 300 bullets.
I mean, that's what you would do with all the other abilities, even with like Ramatra. If you were done with your left click, then you'd go into Nemesis form, and then by the time you got out, it would auto reload. Same thing with Winston. When you're zapping somebody and they get low, you would start your primal so you don't have to reload to at least get the kill, and then when you get out, it's like auto reloaded. So I mean, I guess like that this is now more in line with all the other things, and the infinite ammo is actually kind of a big nerf, because I'm pretty sure you go through 300 pretty fast, and that's what you would use to kind of demolish the other Maugas and actually get the kill, because if he didn't have it up, then he would have to reload, and that's when your chance to kill him. Yeah. When do you think Torb will become meta? If they never make dive meta, then Torb is really good because he's a good counter dive. Honestly, I think Torb is still pretty solid of a pick. He has really good survivability and everything, so with the changes. So I think he's just like, you know, he's just hiding in the shadows as a sleeper pick. Like, he's actually pretty strong. It's just he's not mostly used by like higher tier players, so then they don't really get looked at as much. It was like the same thing with Sim, right? Sim was like sleeper OP because of all the buffs, but nobody really used Sim. And then once all the pros and all the good players started using Sim, they're like, holy shit, wait, this character's fucking busted, because they made them have like infinite health regen, and then they had to, you know, go do some tweaks again. So I think Torb is in a good spot, and he's like kind of like sleeper strong, but not a lot of people, you know, use him that often. So yeah, but all right, back to these changes. Malgarders actually seem I mean, it's like 10% is a pretty good amount, so we'll have to see like how much that actually goes into an actual game. But I mean, it doesn't seem like really crazy, but it is small nerfs across the board, which could like lead up to you know, something pretty big. I think the biggest one is this old change where he doesn't have infinite ammo. That's pretty huge for him.
Moving on to Orisa, a huge buff here, where the augmented fusion driver no longer has fall off damage.
This is massive.
This is actually a pretty...
This is crazy, because now Orisa can spam out widows from far distance. So before, for tanks, the only one that you could choose was Ramatra, because then he would have no fall off damage, and he could just like pebble from far distances, and that's what I always use to counter widows. But now with Orisa, you can do the same thing. Same with like, you could combo with spear with left clicks. So I think this is a really big buff for Orisa. It kind of needed. She wasn't really used, that often. So this is pretty big.
Pretty significant buff, because if you look at the before and after, you can see that at mid to long ranges, no fall off damage means that a spear.
Yeah, I'm not sure if she'll become hard meta, but at least she is a lot better than before.
Into a wall comboed with your shot is actually more than enough to confirm a kill in a lot of cases.
Yep.
Now for Orisa's Fortify, the way it's supposed to work is that she's not supposed to be able to take headshot damage or critical damage, right? But when Mauga came out, his unique style of applying critical damage was burning them and then shooting primary fire. And we found out in the Mythbuster episode a few weeks ago that Mauga could crit and basically destroy Orisa's in this case. So now they got rid of it to keep it consistent. All right, Roadhog sustain is a
That's really big. So now Orisa can counter Mauga. Mauga doesn't get the crits, so now, you can use your little flail. If he ever gets slow, then you have your Fortify to not give him the overhealth. He still gets his E damage, but then with damage reduction, he won't do that much damage, so he doesn't get that much health. So Orisa might be actually a decent counter to Mauga now. We'll have to try that out in a couple of the games and see how well it works. Now let's go. Ooh, wait, Hog's getting a nerf? Okay, I like this.
Little high, so they're reducing Take a Breather's total amount HP healed from 500 to 450.
Okay.
And the cooldown between usages is increased from 1 to 1.5 seconds.
Okay, I like this. Hog, without being like super focused, I feel like could just heal up and do this too fast. So at least this gives a little bit more of a window to kill him if he just like is trying to spam the heal. If you get him like stunned or something, you have at least 1.5 seconds to burst him down. Every 0.5 and stuff actually does make a difference. So yeah, I think this is a good nerf. Hog was, pretty strong.
Sojourn getting a small surprising buff where the railgun gradual energy decay no longer decreases below 25%. So you're always able to retain a little bit of charge no matter what.
I don't know about this.
Don't know how I feel about this one. I think she's already a really good hero.
Yeah, I don't see how whoever thought of this is like a good idea. Like there's no reason that a thing that has to charge up should stay at 25. That's to being like, oh yeah, let's have Winston's like right click always be at 25. Let's, have all these other Zarya always have 25 beam. It's like it's not really necessary, and that just promotes bad gameplay and not consistently doing damage to try and like keep it up or anything. So I think this is not good of a change, and Sojourn was already one of the strongest DPS. So I think they'll eventually probably end up reverting this one, just because Sojourn is already OP and now you can always get right clicks, I guess. I don't know, not sure. I mean, I could see this character probably wasn't used in lower ranks, right? Because you need to try and get full charge and then do a right click or be able to left click, right click. And now if they just permanently let you have 25, everybody in low ranks will always at least have done some damage so they have a right click available to use it. And that's like my only like thought process of they did this for lower ranked Sojourn players, so at least they can still use the right click. I don't think this is a good change though, because now like you're going to be able to build your right click so much faster. From like the good Sojourn players always having it at 25, like you're just starting with a right click no matter what, and that's not good.
For Sombra's hack, this one's an interesting one in the patch notes. It says that the server update rate while channeling is increased to improve responsiveness. All in all, it'll probably help you complete your hacks more consistently without it randomly ending prematurely and you not pulling off the hack altogether. For Sombra's stealth, the grace period where stealth can be cancelled immediately after entering it is increased from 0.5 to 0.75 seconds, and the cooldown now pauses at 1 second while capturing or contesting objectives from the previous 1.5 seconds. And finally, the cooldown on respawning is decreased from 1.5 to 1 second. A small Ana nerf.
can't say I really understand any of those changes as Sombra, but I mean, those were Sombra buffs, so I'm not about Sombra buffs as a tank player. Freak Sombra, dude. But, you know, whatever. I guess good on Sombra players to get a couple seconds extra stealth, but, you know, not a fan of Sombra changes here. Okay, let's go see Ana nerfs.
Where the biotic grenade's effect duration is being reduced from 3.5 to 3 seconds.
Okay.
That also applies for friendly teammates as well. So it's kind of like,
honestly, that's pretty decent of a change. You know, 0.5 seconds in a, you know, FPS game does make a pretty big difference for like how fast you can kill somebody, especially with like hog anti and just anti-ing like Mauga and stuff like that. So with Mauga nerfs, and then wherever this game nerfs, you know, a lot of tanks like survivability like kind of goes up and down depending if you had it on it or playing against one. So I think Ana nerfs were kind of needed, but I don't know if this one was really the one that needed to be implemented. I still think that the make anti-grenade only make healing reduced by like 80%, 75% or something is like the way to go about Ana nerfs. So they're just healing reduction rather than full on complete anti-heal. So like this is kind of just like a band-aid fix to see like if it works, but it doesn't, you know, change the effect, like the actual problem that people get pissed off at. Sojourn buff strong. Yeah, we just looked over Sojourn buff. I think it's pretty strong and very unnecessary. Having always 25 energy to do a right click at higher ranks is pretty ridiculous, because then you always can, now you're going to be able to get the full rail shot a lot faster, and then you always have a right click available. So it just promotes being bad at Sojourn rather than being good and having to constantly keep your energy up. So I just think it's not a good like quality of life change since it promotes bad gameplay. But yeah,
like a dual nerf. For Illari, the solar rifle.
I didn't think Illari needed any buffs. Illari was probably one of the highest outputting DPS. Dude, how many times do you have an Illari and then they have more damage than your DPS? Like, I don't think Illari definitely needed any buffs whatsoever, man. If anything, she needed damage nerfs. So I guess let's see what this buff was. Primary fire changes. Charge gain no longer paused by secondary fire or captive sun.
Full primary fire charge gain is no longer paused by using your secondary fire or the healing beam, or while channeling the captive sun. The ammo is also increased from 14 to 16 bullets.
Okay, like I could be okay with the charging of like the gun doesn't get paused. Like that just seems like a good quality of life change for Illari, so you can always be like, you always should be healing your teammates, right? And you're not being like, oh, I want a DPS, so I'm not going to heal. So I think that is okay for a change, but increasing an extra 2 bullets, like why? She already did too much damage, so why are we giving her even more bullets to do more damage? With now you're adding her being able to do even more damage because now her reload is always constantly, you know, getting charged. Yeah. This one, I don't really understand this one either, along with like the Sojourn buffs. It just seems, you know, they're just, yeah, not the right heroes getting buffed in this one. So, yep.
Now for her Captive Sun Ultimate, it now fully refills your secondary fire resource meter and it resets the overheat status. They've also now removed the damage falloff penalty from that Sunstruck explosion, so people who are far away from the explosion, if they get tagged at all, it'll still do the full amount, like so.
So, okay, well, time for DPS Illari coming back in with promoting, you know, bad gameplay. Yeah, let's just have them get max damage from the farthest away. Let's have refilling ammo after an ult is in line with all the other ones, right? So what, like, that's okay, like I could see them doing that with Alari, but them doing all these other DPS buffs is now just making Alari like way too strong, right? They're giving you more healing, more DPS, more ammo, resetting resource meters on things. Like it's literally just buff, 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 buff. Like they're, yeah. I could see Alari being probably one of the most strongest DPS, DPS and supports probably in this current patch. So yeah, we'll see. But I think this is ridiculous for a buff.
Oh, and finally for Lifeweaver, his Thorn Volley projectile speed is being increased from 70 meters to 80 meters per second. This is what it looks like, and that's a pretty nice buff to help you land a few more shots on really mobile heroes like Tracer, for example.
I mean, I this one I guess is okay. I mean, I think Lifeweaver, they've been buffing him throughout the whole entire like Overwatch 2, and he was already pretty strong with the amount of like if you actually knew how to use him. So I mean, like I guess I can be okay with this, but like I think they're keep on buffing this guy too much.
And for Petal Platform, it is no longer pierced by piercing projectiles. So that's
bad. Dumb. Let me punch through and kill the life. Look at this. Dude, if I'm down there trying to get a cookie out of the cookie jar, let me reach and kill this motherfucker, okay? So, no. Revert this. Let me punch through the petal. Let me throw a fire strike through the petal and get his ass. Now he's just going to be sitting up there with all his extra damage and everything else that's indestructible. No. Dumb. Nobody wants this change. Yeah. Terrible. Let's go on a riot and freaking get this reverted for us tank players. Nobody wants this change.
It's a buff. So piercing projectiles being things like Ryan's Fire Strike.
Yeah, Ryan's literally helpless against that. Yeah. Like what was the reason? What's the reasoning for this? Dude, Fire Strike is like a molten fucking fire thing. Like that should definitely cut through this guy's tiny little petal that is up in the sky, right? Like, dude, let us have something as tank players. They're just taking it all away. They gave us Mauga, let him be OP for a little bit, and then now they're just destroying all the other tanks for no reason while nerfing Mauga and buffing all the other DPS characters and supports. So now tanks are gonna go back to just crying and being miserable. So yep, love it, man. Love it as a tank player out here.
No longer go through it, and Ramatra's Nemesis punches will no longer go through it as well. That's it for the mid-season patch notes, but there are a lot of bug fixes. Some of the more important ones where I hear a lot of issues are the whole reticle or the crosshair options, where everyone's like, oh my god, my crosshair changed at the beginning of the season.
Okay, I mean, I could see people getting like a little bit pissed, but it was literally took half a second to just lower the dot size, and then you just change the center gap a little bit. So I think this people kind of get a little too angry. You know, I mean, it was like a little minor annoyance, but let's be real, it didn't take that long to change. So I think that's just people getting a little bit over pissed off for kind of no reason.
Well, they basically added more options like the dot size and outline thickness, and that change in Season 8 ended up modifying a lot of crosshairs, so it seems like they fixed that and reverted it and set it back to 0.
Oh,
the
okay.
hero bug
I mean, just do that yourself.
There's one where the Bastion hitbox became desynchronized while in the assault form, so now it should be consistent through both its transformations.
Okay, that's a good change.
They fixed a bug where the rocket punch could make people lose their walking animation. For Echo, if you copied a Sigma and did the suck or the kinetic grasp, you would not gain that overhealth while taking damage.
Echo
for
buff.
Alari, they fixed a bug where the Sunstruck effect, or from the ultimate, would detonate if the damage threshold was reached in the last like 0.6 seconds of the
Oh, so even more Alari buffs. I mean, I guess it's a bug fix, so this need to be changed. But now Alari's even stronger than she was before with all the other compounding buffs. Okay, let's go, dude. Let's freaking go.
And for Mercy, this was considered a bug or a glitch, but you know, some Mercy players will say it's a tech where they fix an issue that reduced Guardian Angel's active duration by canceling the ability while simultaneously pressing crouch or jump. So instead of that 3-second cooldown period, you could bypass it and start the cooldown immediately by pressing those buttons while in GA. They fixed that, so yeah. Also, they fixed the issue where Mercy was forced to reload if Valk was activated during the reload animation.
Okay, that's just quality of life.
Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
All right. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's okay. It's good quality of life change. Nobody likes having to reload when you press your ulti, so that's okay. Overall, Mauga definitely needed the nerfs. The Orisa buff does seem really strong as a Mauga counter, so we'll have to test that one out, as well as being able to poke out range DPS with like a spear and like left clicks. Because when Overwatch 2 first came out and you could do that, I would be like dominating widows from far distance all the time, and it would actually be pretty good counter to that if you didn't want to play Sigma. So that'll be interesting to see. The Lifeweaver changes, not being able to punch or fire strike through that does seem pretty lame. Lari buffs kind of too much. Sojourn buff kind of not needed. So overall, I mean, Mauga's in the right direction, but all the other buffs kind of seemed like those characters didn't need buffs, and now they gave them buffs rather than working on the other characters that kind of needed help. So not a huge fan of the other ones, but at least Mauga did get a viable nerf. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's all of the patch notes. Should like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. And till the next one. Peace. Bye-bye.